everyone, I'm Ginny Hair. I'm the director of the Canned Food Alliance and founder of Echo Communications. A long time, it's hard to see, can fan, wearing my shirt. And I am so proud to be kicking off this afternoon. We have a terrific session coming up, Myth Busting 101, and it's going to be led by Beth Stark, who is a friend of the Canned Food Alliance and Echo, and also a longtime can fan. A little bit about Beth. She is an RDN and an LDN, a nutrition and culinary communications consultant. She's in Pennsylvania. And over the past year and a half, Beth has transformed her side hustle into the dietitian career of her dreams, partnering with like-minded brands, people, organizations to create engaging recipes, content, cooking demos, webinars, nutrition communication tools, and much more. She also oversees the channel marketing and nutrition outreach efforts for the Pennsylvania Beef Council and serves as a member of the SIFTER Medical Advisory Board. She has her BS degree in nutritional sciences from Penn State University and completed the Aramark Metro New York dietetic internship. Her varied path has also included work in inpatient, outpatient community settings. Beth finds joy in her close-knit family, friends, and spending time outside, lake life, coffee in any form, happy hour, bird watching, and running. So welcome, Beth Stark, and I'm going to let you take it away.
Thank you so much, Ginny, for that warm welcome. And, anyone in the audience, now you know a little bit about me and some fun background facts as well. But I'm just so thrilled to be here today, with everyone. So as a former retail dietitian myself, I've been encouraging the use of canned foods for years and years. And I'm just so truly honored to have remained so closely connected with Echo and with the Canned Foods Alliance and Pacific Coast producers to be able to be in front of all of you retail RDN rock stars again this year. I'm also personally a fan of canned foods, as you can see, for their time-saving, nutrition, and affordability attributes, as is the youngest member of the Stark fam. As you can see, my daughter Kendall rocking an I'm a Can fan t-shirt there. Just had to throw that in to share a little bit more about my personal self, Beth Stark. So we know as dietitians that eating more fruits and vegetables in all forms is the single most important action that people can take at all ages and stages to improve their overall health and well-being. However, the fact of the matter is that Americans are just not eating enough, and about 9 out of 10 Americans are falling short of those daily recommendations of produce per day. According to the Produce for Better Health Foundation's 2020 State of the Plate, fruit and vegetable intake is also on a slow decline, dropping about 3% over the past 5 years. So if you're you're a dietitian, you're a nutrition communicator like myself, you're probably thinking, wow, that's really startling, and what can I do to help shift, behaviors to the right direction? So this demonstrates such a strong opportunity at hand that we have as dietitians and communicators to help people find accessible, affordable, nutritious foods to help boost fruits and vegetables in their diets, to help them stay well, live well, thrive, and just feel their best. So that said, we also know there's a lot of misconceptions about canned foods out there and about their overall nutritional value and so on and so forth. But we, as the credible and trusted nutrition experts, are truly in the driver's seat to contribute to changing that conversation. So as you can see on today's learning objectives on the slide, we're going to cover common myths specific to tomatoes, peaches, and pears that shoppers have about canned foods and the science behind those facts. We're going to recognize some key messages to share with your shoppers about canned food. So I've put together some quick tips and kind of like sound bites for you to carry on into your own practice in retail. I hope to share creative solutions that you can use to really activate on health and wellness programming that will utilize canned foods across a lot of different places where you're sharing messaging across the store, social media, traditional media, and so forth. And I'll also help you recognize some educational tools and resources to share with your really important shoppers. So let's kick off this myth-busting session with canned tomatoes, which I have to say personally is one of my favorite canned foods. I mean, I love them all, but I can guarantee there's a number of different types of canned tomatoes in my pantry right now. So from ready-to-go forms like tomato sauce, tomato paste, marinara sauce, salsa, different cuts of tomatoes like petite dice or whole. These are different types of tomatoes that really give a high concentration of flavor in recipes and just make them such a wonderful and nutritious addition to soups, stews, pasta, sauces, pizza, dips, and anything you can imagine. And as you can see on the slide here, canned tomatoes are transported from the fields in California to the canning facility where they are canned in 5 hours or less, which is just a miraculous feat, if you ask me. So now let's look at the myth behind California canned tomatoes and where shoppers really are about this wonderful product. So their perception is that canning destroys vital nutrients in canned tomatoes. So how about this? How do we bust that myth? So the fact of the matter is that canned tomato products like those that I mentioned are really loaded with an abundance of essential vitamins like vitamin A and C, minerals like potassium, as well as fiber and protein. This is because of the quick, rapid transport, as I mentioned, where these tomatoes are picked at their peak of ripeness. They're highly fresh, ready to go, which is also when their nutrition factors or the nutrition profile is at its peak. So from there, they're transported quickly to a facility just about 17 miles away to the Woodland Canning Facility. This is specific to Pacific Coast producers farming, where about 95% of their tomato growers are within that 17-mile radius. So they're going just a very small distance right from the field to the Woodland Canning Facility where they're canned and ready to hit store shelves within 5 hours or less. Again, very incredible. When you look at the nutritional profile here, you see a nutrition facts panel, a canned example of diced tomatoes and juice, and what some of those nutrition parameters might be. You can also see the content for fiber, vitamin C, I think really helping to dispel the myth that tomato products really lose those vital nutrients as part of the canning process. And in fact, I'm going to share something even more important about canned tomatoes and what processing does to a very key antioxidant within this food. And I also wanted to share just real quickly, I'd love to kind of tap into personal stories. So this picture here, we can see this tractor, this beautiful blue sky among a nice thriving tomato field. Back in 2013, which really seems so long ago when I think about it, I was fortunate to be on one of the very first canning or kind of like in-person can tours as a retail dietitian, where I was able to follow these beautiful tomatoes right from this field where they were harvested and to the canning facility. So again, this is an authentic photo just to depict how quickly that process occurs. Now, the nutrient that I mentioned and kind of teased about, again, this may not be super new information, but I think it's a great thing to reinforce and just we'll share some really key messages with you to arm yourself to go on to your shoppers regarding lycopene here. So we know, again, as dietitians, that the vibrant red color of tomatoes signals that they are packed with carotenoid antioxidants, and most notably, the powerful plant nutrient lycopene. And this important antioxidant has been shown to inactivate free radicals, protect against different types of cancer, and slow the development of atherosclerosis. So as you can see from this chart, I think, kind of the words are worth a million, kind of like talking points here, but you can really see the difference in the canned tomato products, the processed tomatoes like the puree, sauce, tomato juice, stewed tomatoes, or just canned tomatoes, and then that difference in lycopene content compared to the fresh counterpart. So what happens is when these tomatoes are processed and warmed through that canning process, the lycopene actually becomes more bioavailable. Of course, you know that this means it's more readily absorbed by your body, bringing even more cancer protective and anti-inflammatory benefits. So I think this is just a really great example of, again, the nutrient value that canned tomatoes can bring to your shoppers and some really great key messages to share on to them. Additionally, some top health benefits of California canned tomatoes. I mean, here's a really great summary. I certainly don't want to go into too much detail on all of them because we only have so much time. But the ones I really wanted to touch on are those that kind of jumped out at me, and I hope that they really resonate with you as well. So the first one being that regular intake of canned tomatoes may be linked to bone health. Now, I have to admit, when I think about healthy bones, tomatoes are not necessarily the type of food that comes to mind, right? And so why they are connected to bone health is that this lycopene, again, very abundant in canned tomatoes and processed tomato products, it actually helps to protect bone health by increasing the antioxidant capacity of the bones, decreasing oxidative stress, which may reduce risk of osteoporosis. And of course, we know osteoporosis is where those holes start to become present in bones and just overall weaken and cause increased risk for fracture and so forth. So again, not something you may think about in relation to tomatoes and and dietary intake and bone health, but hopefully this has been something new that you're learning here today. The other benefit that I wanted to mention is something I was just chatting with Ginny and Nicole about prior to jumping into the session is the fact that canned tomato products can help and may help protect against sun damage. So we're talking about summer. Everyone's trying to soak up the Pennsylvania summer that's here, and it's fleeting because gosh, September is right around the corner. But so studies are really showing that canned tomato products can actually act as a natural sunscreen to protect against sun damage. So, we were chatting prior to our session here. Wow, I've been eating all these tomatoes. I'm doing my best to help prevent, sun damage with all the summer sun we're trying to soak up. So, and what this actually does is that lycopene actually has some photoprotective benefits, meaning that it does help to offer that skin protection against UV light. So thinking about other ways that you can help message to consumers and shoppers about a unique benefit of canned tomatoes. And here, when I think back to my days in retail, which feels like it was a long time ago now, I think I was always hungry for new key messages to share on to shoppers, and those that I didn't really need to create myself or dig for. So here's some really great ways that I think you can help translate some of this great information about canned tomato products to your shoppers. So as an excellent source of vitamin C, canned tomatoes play a role in supporting immune health. We know immune health is just such a hot topic these days. We know that they're one of the best sources of powerful antioxidant lycopene, as I just kind of talked about. I love the versatility of canned tomatoes. So as you can see, they really fit in a variety of different eating patterns, lifestyle choices in terms of food choices, from the DASH diet to low carb, gluten-free, whatever your shoppers are eating, they really do fit. And potassium-rich foods like tomatoes help to naturally lower blood pressure. So I think that's a great key message to consider sharing as well. Now, how to activate and really get creative for your shoppers is we know they're shopping at, and cooking at home more and more, and that kind of is remaining steady. So here's some great meal solution ideas that you can easily provide onto your shoppers that require no recipe, and some really great imagery and examples of how to bring this to life in your store. So here's a quick example of a speedy chicken, tomato, and black bean quesadilla, where again, you may be able to create a graphic like this to display your merchandising display in your rotisserie chicken and your fresh prepared foods department. Maybe you print this for an educational resource with a QR code. You could use this for an ingredient bundle on e-commerce if you're involved in that type of communication to your shoppers, or even use something simple like this for a 5-ingredient meal theme for a cook-along class or a TV segment. So just lots of different ways you can kind of share this information in an activated way that you can get in front of your shoppers with it. I'd also just want to mention too, a lot of this content and more is available from the Tomato Wellness folks. So you see that logo there, definitely check out, they have a retail dietitian toolkit that I used a lot when building these messages, and just a really great resource to tap into if you're looking for more information. Okay, so moving right along, we're going to jump into myth number 2, which is centered on canned peaches. So this is, of course, a favorite summer fruit that's picked and packed at their peak of nutrition and flavor. So the myth here is that California cling peaches are nutritionally inferior to fresh. And first, I just also want to explain that a cling peach, that clinging word means that the pit is actually clinging to the flesh. So the alternative is a freestone peach in which the peach is easily removed from the fresh. Clingstones are the most common types of peaches that are canned. Fun fact, if you were curious about that. So now, what is the fact here related to peaches and nutrition as it compares to fresh? So here, the fact is that when it comes to the nutrition profile of canned peaches to fresh peaches, they are nutritionally similar. So thanks to a study with Oregon State University and a researcher at the Linus Pauling Institute that looked at fresh, canned, and frozen peaches, we know that, drum roll please, this study found that canned peaches are actually comparable to fresh, with some nutrients actually being in higher amounts thanks to this canning process. So as you can see here with this great infographic and then some of the call outs here on the slide, the canned peaches have higher levels of different antioxidants, 1.5 times higher, folate 10 times higher, and vitamin C 4 times higher when compared to the fresh peach. Additional benefits, of course, are that peaches in extra light syrup or juice contain less sugar than other types of fruit choices. So if you're looking for those types of solutions for yourself or your shopper, that's a great key message. Canned peaches are also available at a 3 times less cost than fresh and about 2 times less than frozen. So we know shopping on a budget is so important for our consumers right now. So I think this is a really great kind of key takeaway related to canned peaches. And also just look at these really great recipes where peaches are tied into different unique sweet and savory types of cooking applications. So you can find more of this information with the California Cling Peach Board Association, CaliforniaClingPeaches.com. And I know that the crew here at Pacific Coast Producers has shared a lot of this information with you, or will share that soon. So to have conversations about canned peaches with your shoppers, here are some key messages to consider. This first one I really love because, again, it was new to me and something I had never considered doing with canned peaches, but using canned peach puree to replace up to 1 cup of oil in baking recipes to help reduce total fat content. A great key message about all types of canned products, of course, would be that they're harvested at their flavor and nutrition peak and recipe ready for a variety of recipes. So that's definitely something we all love to talk about. Canned peaches, of course, again, deliver a comparable nutrition profile as fresh or frozen at a cost that's up to 3 times less. And they provide the same or better nutrients as fresh and contain less sugar per serving than other choices. And again, here you want to make sure you're educating on use of extra light or peaches packed in 100% juice. So of course, there's no better way to educate your shopper than to appeal to their taste buds, right? So here's a fun and easy way to incorporate canned sliced peaches into a fun peaches and cream waffle sandwich. So here I could see, again, this kind of no recipe solution being used for an ingredient bundle for e-commerce if you're part of that. Maybe an easy breakfast or after school snack idea for a kid's cooking class or a community event for kids. Or I really love this one, a clean up the fridge breakfast theme for a TV segment or a social live video. So like Facebook Live or Instagram Live. So maybe you're like, okay, I have Greek yogurt. What do I do with it? How can I use it up so I don't let it go bad? Or cottage cheese, even as another example. So you could use this type of messaging and this solution using canned peaches to help communicate a quick solution that saves money and reduces food waste. Okay, and finally wrapping up our myth busting lands us on canned pears. So of course, canned pears are hand-picked, peeled, and poached for the perfect sweetness and texture. Also one of my personal favorite canned fruits. So canned Bartlett pears, the myth surrounding canned Bartlett pears is that they are high in added sugar. So we know that added sugar over the last number of years has really been a focal point for healthcare professionals as well as shoppers. So I think this is a really key important topic just to be in the loop on and know how to talk to your shoppers about it. So ta-da, the myth here is also busted because the fact is that canned pears in 100% juice contain no added sugar. The only sugar you would see reflected on the nutrition facts panel for a product like this would be the natural sugar that comes from the pears themselves. Again, you may know this information, but just to reinforce this kind of key message to share on to shoppers and others that you're communicating with. So I think this is just a really great talking point for shoppers. And further, canned pears are peeled, recipe ready, as I mentioned, just like so many other canned food products. And who doesn't love that you can open a can of canned pears and then apply them to different savory or different types of sweet recipes, as you can see from some of these different image examples. So I love this talking point as well, that there's no ripeness guessing games, which could lead to food waste. So, again, cans across the board, and I'll get into this in just a moment or two, they really do help to minimize food waste because they have such a generous shelf life compared to fresh, fat-free, low sodium, and no cholesterol. And again, this is just a really great educational graphic from Canned Food Alliance, just depicting some of this information. So here are some key messages to relay onto your shoppers as it relates to canned pears. So again, they're packed in 100% juice and contain no added sugar. Canned fruits like pears can help you save money and reduce food waste because of their generous shelf life, like I just mentioned. And many of us don't get enough fiber in our diet, but canned pears can really help to boost your overall fiber intake by providing about 4 grams of fiber per cup to help reach that overall daily intake goal. So, and lastly, another program idea featuring protein-packed pear toast, that's kind of a little bit of a tongue twister, could be something you could feature as part of an e-commerce program for a worksite wellness demo. So I think about doing something like this in front of an audience that maybe they're looking how to boost their energy and their focus throughout the workday. A recipe solution like this could go over well. Or again, maybe you're building a breakfast theme for protein-packed breakfast options that you could appear on TV with or take to a cooking class, or even, again, a social media live. So just some really easy ways to kind of bring some of these different recipe-ready canned foods to life for your shoppers. And so just to mention too, another great resource and partner, of course, would be the Pacific Northwest Canned Hair Association and Canned Food Alliance. You'll see both of those logos on the last slide here. Just awesome resources and information if you're looking for more content. Okay. And in closing, I just really want to leave you with a look at sustainability of canned food. So we know this is a really hot topic. We knew you as dietitians might be asking or getting asked questions about sustainability, and shoppers are looking for information on this topic all the time. So we know that recipe ready canned foods that are for sure they're great for quick and easy meal solutions and that type of thing to help enhance nutrition intake. But again, they do help to minimize time spent cooking for your shoppers, and they also help deliver consistent flavor and texture so that those recipes they're preparing and spending time in the kitchen on do come out well every time. Both of these types of things can certainly help to reduce food waste. You see the overall shelf life, potentially up to 2 to 3 years when stored properly. And recipes typically call for a full can quantity so that you don't have leftovers in most cases. You're able to use that whole can all in one shot. Steel is infinitely recyclable and the most recycled food packaging. And I found this pretty amazing that 80 to 90% of all steel ever produced is still in use today. I think that's pretty notable. Steel food cans help to reduce food waste. Of course, it's something that we're all looking to do and preserve not only just kind of the food supply, but ensuring that we're saving money when we're shopping. The last thing you want to do is throwing money in the trash can because you're not able to use those fresh foods quickly enough. And again, I think it goes without saying, canned foods offer such an easy way for Americans to increase their overall fruit and vegetable intake, knowing that 9 out of 10 Americans are just simply falling short and they're not getting enough of those vital vegetables and fruits in their diets. So I'm just going to flip to our last slide here just to kind of, again, call out some of these amazing industry partners. You have their logos there, their websites, and I just want to shout out to all of them that they're really great, available resources on all of these websites. And if you don't find what you're looking for there, I'm sure you'd be able to dig and contact someone associated with each organization to get more information. And I think with that, we will roll into Q&A.
So Beth,
Oh, Ginny, I think you might be muted or I'm not able to hear you for some reason.
That's weird.
There we go.
Oh, okay. Hi. So Beth, thank you so much. We don't have any questions yet, but I'm monitoring the Q&A. So if anybody has anything, please feel free just to ask your question in the on the little Q&A tab. But one of the things that I did want to add, just talking about sustainability, and this came up in our earlier conversation with some of our growers. It might even have been Anthony Laney who grows peaches, but I just want to emphasize to everybody in the webinar today that it's just so important to support American growers. I mean, these aren't large corporations that are growing these tomatoes and pears and peaches. They're small family growers, and that have been doing this for years. They're stewards of the land. But I think it's just so important for us to be able to safeguard our own sustainable food source and not have to rely on imported products. And just a little personal story, a few years ago, I was actually setting up a booth for a school nutrition show, and all of the lovely products that Pacific Coast producers had sent to the trade show, none of them arrived. So of course I'm like jumping in a cab and running around and going to stores and buying. I was actually buying peaches for this show. And I went to Target and I bought their, if it was their Market Pantry brand, it was some kind of a pantry brand. And I bought that, and I bought some other product. And as I'm opening the peaches, I'm thinking, what's wrong with these peaches? They're sort of like yellowish, greenish. And it turned out, even though it was the Target brand, if you looked on the back, it's a product of China. And so luckily I did have some other domestic peaches. I'd also bought their private label. So I literally turned the show into a display of like, know where your peaches are from. Because if they are domestically produced, it may or may not say product of USA or product of California. But if they are imported, if they're from Greece, China, et cetera, it will say so. So just because it's an American brand, it may not be product of the USA. So don't be fooled. So I just wanted to mention that. And let's see. I thought we had a question, but it looks like I thought we did, and then we don't.
I think Ginny, that I may have because I saw it, so maybe it disappeared.
Okay.
Was just sharing that she appreciated
so that was just me. So If there are no
ideas.
questions,
Sorry.
no. So I just can't, stress that enough, because the growing practices, also, if you really want to be supporting sustainability, I mean, something that is grown and packed within miles of, the orchard is so much more sustainable than something that you get that's been imported from Italy, Greece, China, that's, come across on a ship in a container. So I can't emphasize that enough. So it looks like we don't have any questions. So we'll go ahead and wrap up. This will give everybody a quick, oh, do we have a question? Yes, we do. Here's a question. Consumers are concerned about dented cans, the lining in cans, wondering whether glass is better than canned. Can you address that? What we do know is that that does seem to be another myth regarding cans. You do not have, it's just an appearance thing. You don't have to worry about the dents. That is not damaging the can. Glass is more expensive, and glass isn't infinitely recyclable like the can. So that's why we are so, happy to, be promoting cans. Okay, so it looks like that's it for our questions.